safe signal?
A safe word?
Yeah. No, so I was already I already told Thomas that there's a chance that you have to step away. But if you step away, we'll just fill dead air with whatever stupid stuff we want to talk about.
Then we can always edit it out later.
What do you do for a living?
I'm an asset and development manager is my formal title. So basically, my company...
Sounds super important.
Right? My company finds land for clients that either have money to invest or need a building for their own operational purposes. And we find the land, or we might already have some that they could use, and build a building for them, whether it be for their investments or, and fill it up with, people to lease it or for themselves. And then we either run it operationally as an asset manager, we run it, maintain it, take care of it, or we then sell it off to somebody else for a profit. So
yeah,
just real estate development, basically. You
started with that's how you got your start, right? Was with Buzz, or is that what your education field is?
No,
we're gonna get those kind of interruptions.
The cat just jumped up on the table.
She's a kitten, so she has no idea what she's doing.
You just got over telling me how she's not a kitten anymore.
Yeah. I also said that she was not going to bother us, and first thing she did, she was like, "What is happening over here?"
What's the cutoff of a kitten?
That's what I was saying, because she's like a year old. Actually, you probably recognize her because it's Eric and Tiffany's old cat. You know the reason why they got rid of her? Because she was a demon cat, dude. She was hissing at everybody. And then she came over here, and we nicknamed her. We didn't even name her at first. We were like, we don't want to name her. Chloe goes, I want to name her Adele. I'm like, no, this is Demon Cat. So she was literally Demon Cat for a month. The entire family except Chloe called her Demon Cat, and she would only go near Chloe. Now she's like the freaking, like, wants to cuddle with everybody. But at first, she was just like little Demon Cat.
It was just, some of an adolescent phase, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I had a cat like that, and we lived in an apartment, and it was just a kitten. We didn't want to let it out, but once we started letting it out, super calmed down. And
yeah, because she got punked in the wild.
Yeah, probably.
Just getting beat up.
Yeah, you get these little dogs that never see the light of day, like mine. I have two dogs that never see, never go out, never meet anybody else, and they just think they got Twitter muscles, basically, right?
You want to be a little bit closer.
You think they're super tough.
Can you hear the echo a little bit in your headphones?
No.
Oh, okay. That sounds perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
They think that they're all big and bad because they don't have any point of reference.
And then they go out to the world.
So they're barking through the fences at other dogs, and then if you put them in front of some, a big dog out in the wild, they'd be like, "Oh no."
That's what happens to our dogs. You've seen our dogs too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have they're tiny little ones, and the older one, Leah, which is Ashley's dog, doesn't really care, doesn't whatever. We go to the dog park, and you would swear that she was like she was an abused dog. She doesn't want to play. She doesn't want to go play. The other one is like all over the place, and then it is what it is. But she gets beat up by other dogs because she punks Leah, because Leah doesn't do anything. She just chills there while Bella's jumping all over her. And then we go to like a dog park, and Bella thinks that she can jump on other dogs, and then she gets snapped on, and I'm like, that's your fault. I don't come to her rescue. I'm like, you got to learn.
You gonna learn today.
Yep. We got another Sooner fan in our midst. What's going on?
Goodness, dude! It's
are you the Oklahoma fan that was on his post?
No. He's he's the other Texas fan.
Yeah,
it's the worst, baby. Dude. I tell him all the time at work.
I'm really happy you guys finally got your own hand signal, though.
It's about time.
All right.
What are you talking about? What do you mean?
Well, that's your official hand signal now.
Yeah. But we also have the OU. Boomer Sooner.
Okay.
I don't know.
I've never seen that.
Yeah,
one. In all my years of watching Texas OU games, never seen OU.
Didn't you?
Boomer Sooner, obviously, but that's not a hand signal.
You went to the Red River Showdown with Eric 3 years ago, right?
No, he went and met up with his buddy who lives in Oklahoma, and they went.
So he's from Texas.
Yeah, my dad, my uncle, my mom, my aunt, all went to UT.
Oh, okay.
I did not.
I've never been to Texas. All I know is all my frame of reference is from what's that one movie? And apparently there's only two things that come from Texas. So.
Oh yeah, the what is that? R.E. Army's drill sergeant and what's that movie?
I don't know.
Yeah. No, there's a lot more.
Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket. There you go.
And what's funny, I've never seen the entire movie. I've just seen that boot camp scene.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Sheen's in that movie, right?
No, that's Platoon.
Platoon.
Yeah,
That's
Full Metal Jacket's the one where the private gets kind of basically harassed. Kind of
they're both pretty like out there, right?
A portlier private, and he gets harassed. And eventually he goes off and kills everybody.
I was not a big war movie person until, like, even when like Saving Private Ryan was a big deal, and I was like, oh yeah, that sucks for you guys because that was boring. And then later on in life, then I was like, oh okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's pretty cool.
Oh, in high school, me and some of my friends, we would watch war movies together, and we were the war buddies. Like, just because that's what we did, we just loved watching war movies. Because there was like a string of like war movies that had come out. You know, there's Saving Private Ryan. There was
like Black Hawk Down,
Thin Red Line,
that was with
Courage
Josh
Under
Ryan.
Fire. I mean, all sorts of just random war movies, and that was our thing.
They kind of made a resurgence, right? Like 13 Hours came out, and like all those SEAL Team 6 movies came out.
Yeah,
Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah,
12 Strong.
And then Netflix was like, you know what? We're gonna make secondary B movie versions of all of those movies. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I think I have like 3 saved in my queue that I haven't watched. They're like, oh, that could be interesting. And just like everything else, right? You save in your queue and you never watch it.
I was literally about to say that. I'm like, the queue is there for no reason because I put so many movies. So the Truman Show is on Netflix, right? And I'm like, dude, I remember really liking that movie growing up. And so I put it in my queue, and randomly Ashley goes, did you watch the Truman Show? No. She goes, why do you even put it in here? I'm like, because I wanted to.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, yeah, I save movies in the queue or on my YouTube TV, as they come on, movies that I've seen before, like The Martian or Tomorrowland. I don't know, just random movies. Like, oh, I liked that movie. Maybe eventually I'll watch it. But, 10 years ago, I would have rewatched it. 20 years ago, I would have rewatched it. But there's so much content now. It's like
we don't have time to rewatch something.
We don't rewatch things anymore.
Wasn't the queue set up for the DVD service that they had? Right? So once you sent one back, it would just automatically pull up the next one in your queue and send that to you?
I guess.
I think that's what it was for.
My list, I guess it's called. It's not a queue.
The My List?
My List, where you just save things that you're interested in, and then you can just go find something instead of searching every time. The whole Netflix search where, oh, that looks good, and then you watch like the little preview that it gives you, then let's go to the next one. It's me and my wife, we sit there and spend like 30 minutes just
trying to find what we're gonna watch. Yeah. Do you you know that there's still a Blockbuster Video in like Alaska? It's like the last real franchise.
I heard that. I was in Bend, Oregon 2 years ago for the eclipse. I went up there.
I remember that.
In a city just north of there called Redmond, there was a Blockbuster Video.
That one actually just closed down. It was one of the last two.
Yeah.
And that one was
I saw that 2 years ago, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. They were closed because it was late at night, but I was like, this is amazing. There's one open.
Yeah, there's one in Texas, but that one is privately owned. It's not owned by like Blockbuster Video. Blockbuster Video only has one left, and that's the one in Alaska. And I guess there's an Alaskan cruise that docks where that Blockbuster Video is. It's like a huge tourist thing to go there and open a Blockbuster card with them.
Like a Galveston or something? Corpus Christi? It's on the coast, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's. I don't think it's in Galveston. It's probably Corpus Christi. That's
Port Aransas around in there. Yeah.
You know, Ashley's from. Well, she was born in Beeville, but she lived in like Mathis, Texas, which is like 2 hours away from Corpus Christi.
Yeah.
You were where'd you grow up?
Austin area. Austin, yeah.
You're like city and.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a lot of family that had stuff on the outskirts of Austin, ranches and farms. My grandpa did, my uncle did, my great uncle did. And
you hunt too, right?
Oh, I used to. Not in California. Too hard. Too much money. Too expensive.
It is. I just recently found out that in Texas, my father-in-law, because my father-in-law still lives there, he, I guess he was saying that you get one hunting license, and with the hunting license, you get all the tags. He's like, yeah, I got like, I can bag 12 waterfowl a day during season. and he has like certain amount of access deer and all, whatever he's gonna get. He's like, yeah, you just get it with one. He goes, you got to get a tag for each thing. I'm like, yeah, that's what I got to do. I got to get a tag for each thing. And getting an elk tag out here where there's only 300 tags in California is impossible. That's why he goes to New Mexico, and that's where he and I are going to go. That's the only place. That's the only place that I'm going to be able to do it. And he's doing it on reservation. Well, we're doing it on reservation, I should say.
Yeah, it's just expensive. I mean, simple fishing license out here is ridiculous.
What was it? $60
bucks, man. $60.
And then if you want your 2-pole validation, so you can have 2 poles going out. A lot of people, they just like to set one out there, and then while you got your flip stick and you're flipping, that's another $25.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
That's so crazy to me.
It's like $15 in Texas or Missouri.
Yeah,
$12 where my wife's from, and it's just silly.
Oh, I thought she was from Texas too.
No, she's from Missouri.
Oh, good old Misery, huh?
Met her. Went to college there, and
that's where you went, huh? How come you didn't go to Texas?
I wanted to actually try and play football, so I went to Evangel University private school.
You were a quarterback, right?
No, in high school I was, but I went to play safety in college, and because that was what I was best at. And I mean, in high school I played lots of different positions, but safety was what I was primarily.
Todd is the ultimate Captain America. Blonde hair, blue eyes, like
the good old all-American boy. Played football.
He played ways. He played every position. Iron Man football.
Yeah. Huh.
He's from Texas. He's a legitimate good old boy. That's his.
So are you a big follower of college football?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He follows college football probably as closely as you do.
As I do. Yeah. So you keep an eye on everything, not just specifically Texas.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I know pretty much as everything's going on.
So I'm curious. I know Ikaik and I have talked about it. I'm not a huge Sam Ellinger fan, just because he's a great runner.
It's because
but he doesn't have the.
Without talking over him, it's because he's stupid. But continue.
Because Sam Ellinger's stupid, or because I'm stupid?
Because you're stupid.
Oh, I just, from what I've seen from him throwing the ball, granted he runs that offense, and the fact that they whooped up on Georgia. Now a little bit, I think. That was Georgia's coming in like we should be in the playoffs. I mean, you had 2 losses, get out of here, right? But a little bit of that was them coming into the game like, oh, this is just Texas, and Texas hadn't really been anything for a couple of years. But no, I'm not a big Ellinger fan.
Because you think he's just a runner?
Yeah, I don't. I'm not.
Because he
rushed
3 touchdowns on them. That's why.
Hey, how many did Kyler rush on you guys? And then this year, how
2?
many is Jalen Hurts gonna?
Granted, he had over 1,000 yards rushing. I want to say 10 rushing touchdowns. So yeah, he's a runner, absolutely. But I think he also had 3,500 yards passing and 35 passing touchdowns.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. So I mean,
it's just from what I've saw from the tape from the tape that I saw. But
it's funny.
So I mean,
I look at him. He's a run first kind of quarterback.
I don't even know if that's true.
I think that's unfair.
I think that's so unfair.
I think he's very balanced. I mean, is he on a passing quarterback on the par with? Kyler Murray can sling the ball, sure. And Kyler Murray can run. Is he?
It doesn't matter if Kyler can sling the ball anymore for Oklahoma. So
no, because we're gonna have Jalen Hurts come in there and sling the ball.
Jalen is not a passer, dude.
He's going to be. If you do not think that Lincoln Riley is going to tailor his offense for Jalen Hurts,
he doesn't have it, brother. I'm telling you. Well,
the problem is Bill Dabble's offense that they were running in Alabama with Jalen Hurts wasn't what Jalen Hurts should have been doing, right?
I mean, I don't know.
You look at him with was it Mike? Whoever, he's over at Maryland now. He's the head coach over at Maryland.
Loxley.
Yeah, Loxley. Thank you.
I told you he follows it just about as much as you do.
Yeah,
I do not. So
yeah, no. I mean, you look at what Jalen did, even in just the little bit that we got in the SEC championship game, of what it looks like to run an offense that really suits Jalen Hurts. And Georgia's still a great defense, and he put up some pretty good numbers, even though it was like the last quarter and a half.
I think the Jalen Hurts, you have to give Lincoln Riley the benefit of the doubt that he will figure out the best way to use him, because he hasn't proven otherwise that he's not a good offensive mind. But I think that the things that people are bringing up with Jalen Hurts is that there is a ceiling with him as far as his ability to throw the ball puts a cap on that, puts a cap on the ceiling. So I think that's what people are saying. Like, you're not going to be at a Baker Mayfield Murray type level because of that. Just he isn't as good a thrower, and that caps the ceiling for him in this year. Back to Ellinger, I think that to wrap that up, I think that he is not an A thrower, an A+ thrower. He's not an A+ runner, but I think he's at least a B+ in both areas, if not maybe
I'll give his running ability. I'll give him an A for his running ability. Right. An A, maybe an A+.
Well, he finds the end zone.
Yeah, he does.
I think that's more important.
But you know what? It's great now. As much as I hate Texas, but now we actually have some competition in the Big 12, right? Because everyone's just trashing when Art Briles got fired from Baylor. Yeah. TCU is a very up and down, right? Under Gary Patterson. I think Gary Patterson's a great coach. I just think the recruiting to TCU, because it's a small school. I mean, even their stadium is super small. It's like 30,000 capacity. I think that does have an impact in it. But Texas coming back, it's great for the Big 12, because I'm tired of all these people who talk crap about Oklahoma because they're in the Big 12 and nobody plays in the Big 12.
I mean,
so it's gonna be good. I mean, when you had Nebraska runoff, so now it's really the big rivalry, like the really big rivalry, Oklahoma Texas.
Right, for back 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We get to relive those glory days.
I mean, cause with the Colt McCoy, from the Colt McCoy era to now, there hasn't been anything.
I'm so happy for Colt McCoy, though, because he's still doing it, man. He's like, not good enough to be a starter, but you know what, though? We're going to still pay you $4 million to sit on the bench.
Well,
he's
the
like, yeah, sure.
Is that every time he is a rookie and I think maybe even a little bit sophomore, with the Browns, he got some opportunity to play, but he just got beat up and he got injured.
Yeah, he had no.
Then he went to the backup with the Redskins, and then RG3 got hurt, and Colt McCoy came, beat the Cowboys in Cowboy Stadium.
He actually played pretty well.
Played really well. 2 games later, got injured. This year, Alex Smith gets injured. He plays, comes in, plays good. I mean, a solid B probably, and has a chance to starting to stretch his legs, was like improving and really kind of doing better. And then he gets injured again. Every time he's a starting quarterback, he gets injured. Now that's a skill, right? Staying healthy is a skill. Some people have, maybe he's not built to stay healthy or whatever the case is. But it's just a bummer that every time he gets like 2 or 3 starts, that and
he's starting to get something going.
Yeah, he gets hurt. But that is what it is.
Pro football right now is crazy, man. Think about what Antonio Brown to the Raiders.
Oh, whoa, let's talk about my team right now, because OBJ going to Cleveland.
Now, how is Cleveland your team?
Because he's a Baker Mayfield
I'm a Baker Mayfield
fanboy.
Fan. So this is what happened.
As of last year, they were your team?
As of what was the draft? April 25th, the first round.
He literally became a Baker Mayfield, or he became
a Browns fan. So here's the story behind it. I grew up a lifelong Niner fan. I still have love for the team. I lost all interest in the NFL, because the NFL for a couple of years there was putting on a very boring product, and it wasn't until really just this year when all the offenses really started exploding. You got Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes.
It was Baker Mayfield.
But
he's such a fan.
No. So what happened is I'm going around the dealership, and I'm it's draft day, and I'm trying to bet people, because no one believes that Baker Mayfield's going to go first overall. And I'm trying to bet people. I'm like, hey, I'll put $20 on it right now. If he doesn't, because you're saying that he's not going to, that there's no way they're going to draft Baker Mayfield, why not put your money where your mouth is?
Who said that?
Well, Frankie was the big one, because Frankie's like, no, he ain't going there. I'm like, all right,
Frankie doesn't know college football to pro football. He doesn't know that transition.
No, I know.
He knows pro football.
Well, but he was so adamant about the Browns not drafting Baker Mayfield. And I said, okay, put your money where your mouth is.
The only reason why I think that there was a slight chance he wasn't getting chosen is that, in the last 11 years they drafted 9 quarterbacks first round. Mm-hmm. I think it was something crazy. I could be way off on the number, but I'm pretty sure there's a high percentage of times that
I think in the last 10 years, what was it, 10 years, they've had 22 starting quarterbacks in the last
something stupid like that.
But the thing is that it's not the same organization, right? Different GM.
Yeah, there's been some changes.
There was a new GM, and so the new GM saying he doesn't care about the history. He's saying I'm going to think. Yeah, we need who we need right now. My own purposes. So, likewise, do you think Murray's going first?
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure he's going first.
I mean, he is. So
well, here's what's weird though, because he's not a physical specimen, the same physical specimen that Baker
No,
Mayfield
he's
was.
3 inches shorter than Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's 6'1". He's
Dude,
5'10".
they packed that number. Let's be real. That
Yeah.
dude is barely taller
is
than me.
This is
I don't know
straight
how they
just
would,
combine
though.
numbers. So
I don't know how they
it does
combine-
everyone. It does the teams a disservice, and that's what the combine set up for. Really,
Yeah.
is for the teams to analyze everyone.
I think he's legit 5'9" if he was at the combine.
No, I think
No, he's 5'10".
5'10" is what they said he was.
5'10" and a quarter.
I don't
is
know
what
if
he
he's
is.
5'10", man.
Oh, that's right, 5'10" and a quarter. Yeah, 5'10"
I don't know
and
if he's
8. 5'10"
But
and
my
8.
whole
They're-
yeah.
They
So-
went down to the 8th with
but-
this dude because
so-
of how
Well, they
short
know
he is.
they do it with everybody. There's
Yeah.
always, they with everybody.
So they always say that you have to be tall because you have to look over the offensive line, but you look at Oklahoma and they have an NFL size offensive line. I'm like, if he can do it there with
Dude,
that,
you cannot compare.
The issue with
You
that
cannot
is-
compare
I
that.
agree. They have an NFL offensive line, and
Yeah.
their offensive line is
and
awesome.
the best in the country
The
really this
issue
year.
is that when you look at it, they were able to open passing windows for him against an inferior defensive lines. They outclassed everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and he had lots of time for his receivers to clear, the defense, and had big passing windows to throw through. Now he's also very good at throwing on the run and buying time and throwing on the run. But the question is, I think he's pretty good. But and so I feel pretty confident in his ability as far as his skills. Less so in his mental breakdown, like just because he seems a little entitled. But I think that in the NFL, that's what's
I
going to
think
come
that's
down
the
to.
generation, dude.
Well, I think that's the breakdown is, will he have those same passing windows the same amount of time? No, he won't. And so how can he adjust?
Yeah.
Right?
But I think the marriage of him and Cliff Kingsbury, because Cliff Kingsbury was the one who recruited him to Texas A&M
right.
when Kingsbury was running the offense over there for Kevin Sutherland. And for them to get back together, to me, there's no better fit. You get the offense, you know that Cliff Kingsbury is going to go to the air raid and the adaptation for the NFL of the air raid, and I think Kyler Murray's perfect. I think Josh Rosen's, he's a pocket passer, and I don't think he's what they want to do going forward. That's why they hired Cliff Kingsbury.
Right. I mean, that's the best situation that Murray could have find himself in, is with Cliff.
And then you get Vance Joseph, who was a pretty good defensive coordinator over there, because a lot of their problems was on defense too. So,
yeah. The question is, Cliff Kingsbury, for all his offensive mind, was still 500 coach, right?
he was less than 500.
Right.
I mean, you had Oklahoma, Texas Tech. Patrick Mahomes threw for 700 yards, and they still lost to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That was that game. They put up 1,100 yards of offense in that game between both teams. And Patrick Mahomes threw for like 7 touchdowns. Baker threw for 6 touchdowns. I mean, you want to talk about like an actual shootout, but they couldn't win. They could put up all these points, but they couldn't stop anyone. So that's why I'm saying
I think the win-loss category
Yeah.
trumps the.
But that's why I wanted to bring up
anything-
Vance Joseph and the fact that you
else.
have someone who can go in there and he's competent enough to run a defense.
Yeah. But there's still a lot of questions. But yes, as far as that is a very good situation for Murray to be in, as far as his offensive head coach.
Already having that familiarity.
Mm-hmm.
You know that that I invited you here to help me name this podcast. Right?
Yeah.
We got off on this 40-minute tangent.
Yeah.
Actually, we're only at 23 minutes, so not too bad.
Minutes, just kidding.
Yeah. Name that podcast.
Yeah. There's like 10 different working titles, and I don't know that any of them I'm married to.
Okay. Let's hear some of the faves.
I think Ikaika Takes Over the World. I like that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned that one.
I like that one a lot.
Don't we have Ikaika questions everything?
Ikaika questions everything. Ikaika questions the world. We had, I think, what did we say? Plate lunch with Ikaika, but we can't do that though, because he can't eat. Coffee with Ikaika? Is there already something like that? There is, huh? Coffee with something.
Yeah, that sounds like it's just like a generic podcast that a bunch of people would use the title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to think, like, what is something
I don't necessarily need to have my name in it because I'm not that egocentric.
tied to you that is, aspects about you that you want to convey. I mean, it sounds like your podcast is going to be a very much general
It's pretty general.
style
Lifestyle
podcast.
and culture, yeah.
Yeah, nothing too specific. So the name needs to be somewhat general so that people don't think it's just one specific, topic.
Yeah, I think that's been the struggle. Is like I don't want to typecast the podcast based on the name. The name should be super general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like I mean, you like you're basically just gonna talk about random,
like literally
random
what we
things.
just did
Right.
for the last 20 minutes.
Talk about random things.
No, what's funny? The reason Thomas is obviously my audio engineer, but what the reason why I even asked Todd on was because Todd has named 2 companies, probably more, but two that are like pretty decently well known.
Well, yeah, two that but actually my own. Before I even joined up, I kind of it was hired. I named it for the owner, and then another sandwich two location sandwich spot Garden of Eden. But I think I just enjoy doing that type of stuff, even though it really doesn't have any tie to what I do for a living.
There was a bunch of I saw fire in his eyes when I was talking about naming the podcast. He was like, "Let's do this." And he was like brainstorming. I was like, "What? Just save it. Let's do a podcast out of it. That'd make a great podcast."
So as far as like how to name it, like so, what it's going to be about randomness. Is there any going to have like random in the name somehow?
Yeah.
Randomness,
random. Yeah.
Random acts of Kaika.
Oh, I like that. Random acts of Ikaika.
The randomness of Ikaika. I don't know. Yeah. I think throwing random in there would be pretty awesome. I'm trying to think. Yeah. What'd you say? The random
acts of Ikaika or randomness, or because that kind of conveys what your topic is. If it is everything,
yeah.
You know, it's because people are going to look at a podcast list, right? They're going to go scroll through it down. They're going to look at the little tag, the little icon, plus the name. And, you know, if they're looking for lifestyle and culture, they want to see something that kind of ties with that. But, you know, they're looking for a cooking podcast, obviously.
Yeah, they're not coming here.
Right.
They're not coming here for sure.
So you want to kind of clue people in into, and so like some of your other names, like Akaika Takes Over the World, people are going to be like, I mean, that sounds cool, but I don't know. I have no idea what that might be about. Is that business? Is that,
yeah.
You know.
Is he actually trying to take over the world?
Right.
It's Pinky and the Mer. I love that show.
Just Narf. How about just Narf?
Narf. People are like, oh, okay, we get what it's about. It's trying to take over the world.
No,
yeah, you're right. I think I like randomness. Throwing randomness in there I think that's perfect. Something about randomness.
What are some synonyms for randomness?
I don't know. We got the audio engineer with the computer, though.
Oh, crap. I actually have to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listen to all the podcasts, and you always get the audio engineer or something who always just is furiously Googling as the host or talking about things.
That's what he's supposed to be doing, but instead he talked about college football for 10 minutes.
I had to get my little bit of fun in here, too. Let's be real.
I said, Thomas, stay silent.
Ain't gonna happen.
We said we have to nickname him because he can't just be Thomas.
I can't be Producer Thomas
or
anything like that.
Producer Thomas, because it's not a radio station. He needs to have a nickname. So that's just as important as naming the podcast, by the way.
I mean, always the best nicknames are like 2 or 3 things removed from the initial nickname. It's like, oh, Producer Thomas, PT,
PTSD,
PD.
Petey.
It just starts like
Call me
just
Pablo.
morphing after that, right? Yeah, PD Pablo.
Petey Pablo. Hey, Pablo.
Yeah, it just starts degenerating.
I love it. We're gonna call him Pablo, and he's like a white country boy. Oh, that's funny.
Don't take your shirt off and swing it over your head.
Ain't gonna happen.
Don't do that. All right. What are our synonyms?
Okay.
What do you got for us, Thomas?
All right. So synonyms for random. I got accidental, aimless, arbitrary, incidental, indiscriminate, irregular, odd, unplanned.
Unfortunately, all those have a negative connotation.
Yeah, and they're all worse than random.
Right.
You can't use any of those. I love unplanned.
Hit or
like,
miss.
is this a Parenthood?
Objectless, promiscuous, purposeless.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like
all of
unaimed, unconsidered, unpermitted.
The best one of those is arbitrary.
Arbitrary.
Ikaika is arbitrary.
That sounds so negative.
Arbitrary aims. Yeah, I don't know. Random is kind of the best of them.
I think random is probably the word. Why use a synonym for an already good word?
True. Well,
I think we got that part figured out.
Informal?
No.
boring.
I'm everything. Yeah, I'm like, what? Wah, wah. I need to get one of those touchpad things that make the sound effects. So when Thomas says something stupid, it's all rah, rah, rah.
Yeah, but you'd spend half the podcast hitting
Doing
that button.
all I do.
Like the Michael Scott. No, no, no.
That's what I would do. That's 100% what it's going to be every time you talk. Like, no, Thomas, you are the audio engineer / producer. So that's
Oh, I thought it was Pablo.
I don't like Pablo for you. We're going to figure something else out.
Good, I didn't like it either.
Oh, you shouldn't have said that. Now it's going to be something around the lines of Pablo. Producer Pablo. You just named yourself.
I did, but no, you can't nickname yourself. You can't use a nickname that you come up with
agreed.
yourself.
Unless you hate it and everyone else thinks it's funny to call you that.
Did you ever watch How I Met Your Mother?
Yeah.
Remember what they call Barney? That one?
Swarly?
Swarly, yes.
Yeah. You never watched that show? That show's pretty funny. It's I guess it's kind of out there though.
No, I mean I've seen clips or I've seen parts of it. It seems funny. I just never
Never got into it.
got into it. Never wanted to, had always had other shows to watch. Right?
Yeah.
Like
I'm
I
a
said,
big
too much content.
I'm a big shows guy. I'm not a big movie guy because I feel like you just can't get enough character build in 2.5 hours that you can in 13 half-hour episodes.
See, agreed. I was like that up until about 2 years ago. Liked shows, didn't like movies, but then the last couple of years, basically it switched because I got tired of shows, a lot of them, just like fluffing, putting in just to fill time, stretching it out, right?
That happens with a lot of shows.
Instead of 3 seasons, it's 7. It's like, we're rehashing the same thing. You're doing the same exact thing you did like 2 seasons ago, just with a different character. It's like,
most really good shows go on like 2 seasons too long.
Like the British TV, it's like 2-3 seasons or like 8 episodes and done. It's great. There's no fluff. It's like just long movies, right?
Are you referring to Downtown Abbey?
No. More so like Bodyguard. Like
okay, I haven't seen either. So
it's like 8 episodes.
I watched Luther. I think that's British.
I think maybe it is, yeah. But like it was like 8 episodes. 8 hours total. Like you said, a movie, you can't really flesh everything out in the 2-3 hours.
Yeah, it's impossible.
But 8 hours, you could. But I don't need 30 hours.
Oh, for sure.
It's just, so I've been feeling like, TV, a lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it is just a waste of time. It's like, so I lean more towards movies now for some reason, just because, I can watch a movie in 2 or 3 hours, I'm done. And I get a whole story. And
get an entire story.
Right.
Yeah, so Grey's Anatomy is Ashley's like favorite show, and she's obviously my wife, so I've watched pretty much every episode of Grey's Anatomy with her for 15 seasons, sir. And I'm like, this show is still going on. You could tell the entire story of one doctor's entire career. Like if they go 5 more seasons. 20 seasons, that's like an entire career. You end the show with the end of her of the main character's career.
Yeah.
At that point, I'm like, that's too many seasons. End the show.
That's crazy.
The show is ran its course.
Well, but remember, this business, they're still making money. That's all they care about.
Oh, for sure. I'm still watching it because
Ashley's still watching it.
And if the main character or whatever.
To be fair, the show has interesting storylines. It's not like I'm. Like she watches The Bachelor, and it's like pulling teeth to get me to watch an episode with her. Like tonight last night was we're watching it tonight, right? So I cannot stand that show. I emphatically, like last night, I told her like 9 times, I'm so bored. Can I just go to bed? She's like, no, just watch it with me. I'm like, this is the most boring thing to ever happen to anyone ever. I felt like I was being tortured. That show sucks so bad to me. And I get it. It's super popular. But I'm like, dude, let's be real. This guy knew that it was going to be one of 3 women when he met all of the women. Like you're not gonna.
He knew initially, like I can just weed out like 25 girls
Yeah.
now, and I know it's
And I know it's going to be one of you three.
after 4 hours of talking to all of them.
Based off of so one is going to be physical attraction, obviously. No one is marrying someone that they don't find physically attractive. And the second one is going to be spark, and then the third one would be like your compatibility in a conversation. You can have a conversation with someone and be like, nope, not in a million years.
Sure.
And you can have a conversation and be like, I could probably get along with this person.
Yeah.
I think to hit all three categories, you can probably get in one night.
Yeah, I think
You weed all of that.
Well, I don't know if that quick, and it depends on the main character, main guy, and main person. But yeah, I agree that initially if they have 30 women, I think they're up to like 30-ish women or so. I would say, yeah, night one, you can eliminate 20, 25 of those.
Yeah.
Just initial physical attraction or the 10-minute conversation that he has with each of them. And then over the next like couple weeks, you could probably narrow down to 3 or 4 people. And then if not, like 2.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, then it's just him going through the motions of eliminating people he already knows isn't going to be.
That's literally what's happening.
Right.
And then they draw out the ending, man. It's like, oh my goodness, this is so boring. They're like, we're going to have this really dramatic interview with, she lost. Why are you making her relive this, man? Chris, you're a terrible person for doing this. You and the producers, you're making her relive. This girl fell for this dude. And even though he knew he wasn't going to pick her, especially with this guy, right? Like, spoiler alert, right? He quits the show, right? And he goes and tells these girls like, oh yeah, like I was falling in love with you guys, but I really fell in love with this other chick. Like, he already knew. These girls are like really investing their feelings into it, and he knows he's not going to pick them. And then they make him relive it 3 months later after they've watched the show back.
Right. I think it's difficult because I do watch the show because, again, my wife likes it, and I'm on my phone for most of it. But
I don't get to, man. She slaps it out of my hand. She's like, "Get off your phone! I don't want to watch this thing."
But I think that what I've learned, because I've also like read some articles about what former people have said about it, that we have to be real careful about what they show us isn't always reality. But I'm saying is that, like, I think that a lot of times, like, for instance, that guy, he quit the show because the girl he liked, who told her he loved her, she wasn't sure if she was ready to be engaged, and she left. So he was like, all right, well, she leaving, I'm out too. Well, and so he goes to the other girls and tells them I don't love you, I love this other girl. But
you can spoil the end, by the way, if you guys already saw the finale. I don't care. I don't care.
But I think
you seem like you're picking words carefully to not tell me what was happening.
I haven't seen it either. I watched it tonight also.
Yeah, I literally could care less if it got spoiled.
I think that it's one of those things where it struck me as like his decision to like fully go after that girl was only solidified when she said, "I'm not ready yet."
Ashley said that. She said he told her. She told him no, and he goes, "No, hold on,
right?
You don't tell me no. I'm the Bachelor. You know that, right?"
It's the chase, right? Like he's like, wait, I can't. I think I like you, but there's two other girls. But until then, she says, "Nope, sorry, I can't accept that." Well, wait.
Yeah,
it's you then. It's you.
Just kidding.
Not the others. And so it might not have been until it was the threat of her removing herself was there that he was like, oh crap, that really like brought it all into perspective. Maybe.
Yeah. He's also really freaking emotional, man.
He cries a lot. Shakes.
Yeah.
Like he shakes. Like he's physically shaking as he's like.
I'm not saying I'm like the burliest man ever. I'm not. Clearly, you can tell from the bass in my voice right now. But dude, that guy is like on another level. Yeah.
He cries a lot.
So, interesting statistic that I pulled up because I'm actually doing my job. Only 2/3 of the seasons actually end in proposals, and out of those, only 5 have led to marriages. So the success rate of The Bachelor is 11%.
Hey, look this up because I think this is true, and unfortunately, I have to watch the Bachelor in Paradise as well with Ashley, which is the show that subsequently happens after the Bachelor season.
Is that with all the
Bachelor in Paradise is the actual good show. I actually will watch that because that's funny.
So there are funny moments. It still bores me
because the Bachelor and Bachelor are basically feeder system for
the Bachelor. But I feel like Bachelor in Paradise breeds more successful relationships.
Right,
Look that up.
You're spending a whole lot more time.
A lot more time together, and it's way more selection. So you really are selecting someone.
Right.
It's not so much like,
Right.
oh, I have to choose from these women, and these women only get to choose from me. It's like there's a choosing system. But I'm pretty sure that there have been couples who have become married and had children.
Yeah,
since
several. Yeah,
that's what I'm pretty sure. I think the success rate of Bachelor in Paradise is higher than Bachelor or Bachelorette.
It is. You're right. Yep.
Which is random and ridiculous.
Pablo is Googling furiously.
Pablo, can you pull up the?
I'm trying to. I'm trying to find
pull
a.
up the Audacity.
I mean, like I said, I watch it with my wife.
we're all good.
I can tell
I'm
you
just making
like
sure we're all
3
good.
couples off the top of my head that are still together and got married because of it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I know one of the couples.
But
this show sucks, man. I can't stand
but
it.
yeah, like The
I
Bachelor,
can't stand that
there's
I know what happens in them.
There's The Bachelor. There's only one person who is only one bachelor that is married. There's I think 3 or so bachelorettes that are married. But yeah, it's the very not high success rate.
I think it's because I think a lot of the reason is like the guys are the bachelors are just it's different when you're being chosen by the other person based on the fact that you're the only one of that member of that sex, right? Like they're not getting to choose you. You're the bachelor. If they want to go on the show, you have to be the person they're choosing. But on the flip side, I'm the bachelor and I have 30 women. So of course I'm going to get to wean to the one that I feel the best connection with, but she's not doing the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for these 30 women or 30 guys in the Bachelorette, they have this person put up on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And I would think that in any situation, it'd be very hard to see flaws in that person. Because
there's no basis of comparison.
There's no basic comparison. Perfect. Good point. There's also no opportunity for any of their flaws to come out. Like every date is perfectly staged. There's no difficulties. That's a really
good point.
Usually there's no arguments. Sometimes there's arguments between
because of things that are happening with other contestants.
And then the lead has to get to the bottom of it, so to speak. And so how they handle that kind of shows something. But generally, there's no when do you really see people's true colors? In difficulty, right?
Yeah.
In problematic times, and most of the time that's not the case in these shows. It's all roses and hot tubs, right?
Well, that's all they show.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the only time that the actual contestant or the one person is even there is only when something's been staged for the entire group. Because the whole point of the show is not what that one person is doing, not the bachelor or the bachelorette, but what the rest of the contestants are. That's the reason why people continue to watch the show. Right. They watch the show because of the flavor of love women who are like, "I kill you. You tried to sabotage me."
Every once in a while, they have a group date that is a physical competition or where the women have to kind of compete or have
it's
to
terrible,
or they go to a farm
so
and they actually are doing chores and work. And I actually like those because it's that's an opportunity to actually see people's true colors, right?
Yeah.
When they're having to work through something, or it's not an ideal situation. They're not sitting around, being kind of doted on. It's okay, that might be an opportunity for them to actually see who's who and what's real.
I remember watching. It was a Bachelorette. Maybe it was the last season. What was the girl's name? Rebecca.
Becca. Yeah, it was Becca.
Yeah. So on her season, right? They did a wrestling episode where the group date, the guys had to wrestle, and I remember looking over at Ashley, and I'm like, "Babe, I'd choke all those dudes out." She's like, "You're stupid." I'm like, "I would though."
Yeah,
that's the only time I got excited. I was like, "Oh, am I gonna get to do these guys know what they're doing?" And then none of them know what they're doing. I'm like, they all have beach muscles. They're like, "Oh, we work out, so we look good."
Sure. But this year, the girls did a boxing thing.
Oh, did they? I would have done the same thing. Oh, if I'm the Bachelor, everything's physical.
Well,
I'm doing a jiu-jitsu episode.
And there we go. There's first mention of jiu-jitsu.
So there's one girl that knew what she was doing. Actually, looked like she took classes or something. It was just wailing.
And she's just popping these women in the mouth.
It was pretty sad.
See, I always think about that because I have seen those physical ones. I saw the football one, and it's you have an Indianapolis Colts player. You remember that one?
Yeah.
He was dope.
Tight end. Yeah, he was doing.
Really good. He would have. Actually, he was the reason why they were even in the game. He was like scoring every point. And I'm like, dude, this guy's not even I was like, he's a tight end.
And then he broke his
leg, right?
Wrist wrist, I think.
Oh yeah, I think you're right.
The end.
And he almost didn't. And he didn't, right? He lost out on his contract, I think, or something like that. Something happened.
We had to leave a show because he's like, I got to rehab.
Yeah, he had to because he broke it and he couldn't get back in. He's like, dude, for this chick who I may or may not get chosen, I might have just ruined my football career.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm out.
Well, I mean, he was already like 32, free agent. Like,
no, but he was still playing.
I don't think he's under contract. He wasn't under contract. He was hoping to get picked up
to get picked back
the
up
next season, but I think he was. Yeah, I don't think he was a free agent. So it was like he was like maybe hoping for like 1 more or 2 more year maybe.
Isn't the most recent Bachelor Colton? Didn't he play for
He was a practice squad player for a little bit
for the Chargers, right? Something like that.
I don't know.
Colton
he was
Underwood.
He was a quarterback.
No, he
was a tight end.
He was tight end as well.
Tight end as well.
Yeah.
Ashley was like, he's super physically fit, right? He jumped the fence. She's like, could you jump the fence like that for me? I'm like, no, but I could choke somebody out for you. I always go back to that.
About that fence, the fence jump that everybody sees on all the promos. They're like, it's an 8-foot fence. I'm like, okay, first off, Colton's like 6'2",
He's a big dude, yeah.
He's a big dude. He's 6'2", 6'3", and that fence was maybe 5 inches taller than him. Let's say it was 7 feet tall. I think that's generous. So not 8 feet, 7 feet. He has big muscles. He's fit. And he's obviously coordinated because he, was a practice player in the NFL. Like, that's not like the athletic feat that I think that everyone is
making out to be.
Yeah, I mean,
I see parkour dudes who are my size who are doing that.
Sure, it was impressive, but it's not like, oh my goodness, that is the only he could do.
They talked about it for the whole season.
Yeah,
the whole season they talked about this damn fence jump. I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go.
The guy jumped over a fence. So what?
I'm gonna go try it. Not that I am as tall and or physically fit as him. But I'm just going to try it and see how
Dude, you're Captain America. You're doing
close
it.
I can get.
We should go to Portugal and just that's where they're at, right? They're in Portugal. Let's go to Portugal. Let's go find this fence.
Yeah, that fence should have like a plaque now.
I know. Colton jumped over me. That's what it should say. Colton jumped over me.
Yeah. So Clay Harbor was the tight end. Never played for the Colts. Played for the Eagles,
Bears,
Jaguars, Patriots for a year, Detroit Lions the same year, and New Orleans. The last team he played for was 2017. And his injury actually required surgery. It's not telling me. Oh wait, no. After injury in his wrist, did require surgery.
Well, that was the last time we ever heard of him.
Never played after that.
Yeah,
he was a super nice guy too.
Never played again.
One thing about that, to continue on the Bachelorette angle, I find it really refreshing when the contestants, whether it be male or female, but usually it's the female ones, the female contestants for the male lead, they actually talk normal, right? They like you know how girls sometimes have a phone voice?
Yeah.
Where their voice all of a sudden goes up and, hi, how are you doing? Good to see you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I find that those contestants have a phone voice or, a bachelor voice. Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
And it's like, and then you have some girls who just talk normal, like, hey, how you doing?
You think that's I think that's got to be like a recording practice, like girls who have been in front of a camera before, though.
Maybe.
You think that's what it is? It's like practice, because it's a skill to be on TV, regardless if it's reality
I think it's more so
like
they're just not trying as hard as the others.
Yeah, maybe that might be it too.
They're not trying to put on a front with my voice and like, oh hi, yeah, been so great today. Like, oh, I loved our date. Like, it's just like, they just talk more normally. And I always find those would be like, that's how that's. I always see that those connect better with the lead, whether male or female.
What do you think the odds are that there are a bunch of women there who are trying to just become the next Bachelorette?
Oh, for
right, because they choose it from that season, right? They're like, who was the most interesting person who's going to give us the best ratings? Mm-hmm. Obviously, it was going to be Colton, right? Dude has like a bunch of charities, ex-NFL, regardless of.
Yeah, I think that several of the final 5 or whatever, like, I'd say that there's probably of the final 5 or 7, that they know, like we talked about earlier, that Colton probably only likes 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 of us, right? And only 3 of us really have a chance, but the other, we're just going through the motions, and there's 7 of us still, or 5 of us still.
Yeah. Like, what can I do to make myself interesting
to get
enough?
to the final 4 to possibly get enough screen time to be the bachelorette, right? I'm sure that goes in their heads because it's like if you know you don't have a chance, what's the next best thing, right?
Yeah.
Or what can I do to make sure I get on Paradise?
Yeah, either or, right? You've either got to be a villain or like the nicest person ever, and you got screwed over.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's what I've noticed. Like Becca, right? She was like super sweet. She got chosen.
She got screwed over.
And she got screwed over. They're like, dude, we gotta give it to her, man. Like, what do we do? Like,
yep.
She got dumped after the fact.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. Those shows.
That was rough last year. I think they are silly and they're stupid for a lot of things, but they are a good social experiment in a lot of ways, right? They're staged and it's not real life, but it's still a good social experiment with like how people react to certain situations and what they do under pressure.
You think that you could teach an anthro class off of that? Like if you're an anthropology professor, you're like, let's.
They do. Like I have to believe they take examples from Bachelor or Big Brother or Survivor, and they use those.
Yeah.
In this situation, they're put under stress, and here's what happened, right? I mean.
Yeah, that's kind of like a funny thing to think about.
Yeah. I think that it's like when I watch Survivor, I watch Survivor too.
You watch a lot of reality shows.
I do. I've cut back a lot too, and that's that thing.
And you're like, I still got 6 or 7 of them.
Well, no, basically it's the 3 that I just mentioned. I watch The Bachelor series, and I watch Big Brother in the summer, and then I watch Survivor. But I used to watch like dancing and singing competitions. I'm just like, forget those. Nope, no more.
I only watch The Voice during the blind audition times. It's the only time it's interesting to me. And then after that, I'm like, whatever, I don't care. Although there's, what's kind of the one refreshing thing on The Voice is I think there's been a couple of like Christian recording artists who got their start on The Voice.
Right.
I'm thankful for that because obviously I listen to a lot of Christian music. So
yeah, no, that is cool. I every once in a while I'll see like a clip of one of those blind auditions, and that is probably the only part that really interests me. But yeah, I can't sit through.
I actually do the blind audition.
3.
I turn around until I would turn.
And you and your living room?
My kids hate that.
In your living room?
Yeah, they hate that. I walk away during the story because I don't want to hear the story. I don't want to be influenced by the story.
Right.
So I walk away, and then Ashley warns. She tells me, "Hey, they're coming on." I come in, and I keep my back face to the TV, and then when I would turn is when I turn around to see the person.
That's good.
I do it. It's like been a thing the last 3 years, and
like,
my kids hate it.
I do watch actually one more, World of Dance. I do watch World of Dance, but I skip all the human interest stuff. Like the little clips in the front of all of them, right?
Yeah.
Where they're talking about like, I broke my leg 5 years ago in a car accident, and I've been really trying to get back, or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
I just skip through those. I just want to see the dance. Show me the dance and the score, and so I get.
They told me I'd never dance again.
I take this hour show and I condense it down to like 15 minutes because all I do I just skip to the dancing, and then I'm like, oh, they were cool. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that was cool dance, and then off they.
What were you saying about Survivor now? I think we way skipped over what you were talking about.
I was going to I think that is a really good example of, because that is a high stress environment, right? You're out in the wilderness. That's probably the best, sociological experiment type thing. Because people are under such pressure and because of the physical environment they're in, it's not some house. It's all a hotel. It's all nice, right?
Is it super insensitive for Americans to watch a show about people doing things that people do right now to live all the time? Like, you do this for 6 weeks, we're going to film you, and you're going to make $1 million if you win the show. And then there are people who are native to the area that they're at who's living like that right now, who their end game is being alive. Do you ever find like, that's kind of insensitive?
I've never thought about it.
And they have it worse.
Should the people, if you're asking, I can't really answer if that's insensitive. What I can answer is that, are the people that are in that area, if you told them what was going on, or if they, them knowing what was going on, they'd be like, you're giving them money to do this?
I don't know that they would ever. I don't know. The thing is I don't know that they would know the difference of like, is it insensitive or not? Because they don't have the same social. Right. The social climate's not the same.
They just wouldn't understand. Like, you're giving them money to do this? Like, why?
We do this. We do this for life.
Yeah, like I don't understand. Why would you do that? Like, why would they get money to be out here? And so it doesn't really make sense. But
I think it's funny.
Yeah.
It's kind of messed up. It's
Kind
kind of messed up when you think about it.
of, yeah.
Like you wouldn't. That's what the prize is, right? It's $1 million.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I don't watch the show.
Right. But, I mean, but you could also make the argument. Well, you could make the argument that, well, if that is silly, how much more so? But they actually go through a lot of trouble or hardship to win that money, so to speak. How much more silly is Big Brother, where they sit in a super easy conditioned house the whole time?
I actually don't know how that show works.
It's just they're in a house. Like,
do they
inside.
compete for money?
They do. They compete in challenges and stuff, and they vote each other off and stuff like that. But it's like
so it's Survivor, but in a hotel.
It's so much easier in a house that's in, like, basically, I think, built in a sound studio. It's like so much easier as far as living conditions, right? So how much more silly you could make the argument that Survivor people earn the money more so than the Big Brother people.
I mean, they earn it. They earn it by winning the show,
right? They earn it more so than the Big Brother. But so
yeah,
how much more? How much?
I'd agree.
So it's
I'd
like
agree with that.
Varying degrees of silliness.
That's so crazy.
I mean, in Big Brother, it's just about drama, right? It's just about teaming up.
Yep.
And that's all it is, really. I've seen a
never
little
seen
bit.
the show.
My family's super into it. My little brother is 17 years old, super into it. Mom's super into it, and I just, of course,
It's very strategic, or more so than like surviving and
in the wild,
winning.
I actually watch like Meat Eater.
Mm-hmm. I like that show.
I love Meat Eater.
That's a great Netflix show.
I love
it.
He has a podcast too.
Does he?
Oh yeah.
I save those. I haven't watched. I've watched maybe like 5 or 7. I save those for when my dad or my father-in-law are in town.
He had Joe Rogan on.
So
Joe Rogan's a huge influence of mine, dude.
So I saw
I
that.
love that guy.
So I say that so I have something to watch with them because they don't like much else.
Yeah. Well, so what's funny is I was talking about Joe Rogan on the last podcast I had, and Carly made the comment. She goes, "Why would you promote another person's podcast?" I'm like, dude, you don't get it. This guy's a huge influence of mine. What's funny is he and I are almost on the opposite end of the spectrum with everything. Like, I'm talking every social issue, but it's not about that for me with him. For me, one, the guy really influenced me to, one, start this, and two, to continue to pursue the stuff that I'm looking for. Because here's the thing is, it's not that I was content. I'm very happy with the career that I chose, but there were other things that I wanted to do, like finishing this book. I have a children's book that I'm writing as well, and then starting this podcast. I'm like, I want to do it. And then I was listening to a podcast. It was a podcast excerpt of his, and I was like, yeah, whatever. So I'm listening to it, and he's like, I don't care who you are. Like, it doesn't take much to do this. You just do it. But it was, it was a little bit more than that. But it was like, he influenced me to start this. So for me, it's like that it was a huge influence for me to go, let's just do this.
So when did that start? As far as your decision to do more and different things?
I think that was, probably, well, so I've been writing the book that I've been writing forever. Like, I was 25 when I started writing that, and now I'm 30. So it's been 5+ years.
Okay.
Over 5 years. And I've been writing it forever. But probably 2 years ago I was listening to one of his podcasts, and it really kicked me in the butt and was like, get up and do this. And then it was probably a year ago when, again, I was listening to his podcast, and he said, I don't remember the exact podcast and who he had on, but he was talking about, listen, man, if you feel like you have stories to tell, it doesn't matter if other people want to listen to it or not. Record it. Like, if you think that they're interesting, the people who you have on think it's interesting. That's all that matters. Mm-hmm. And then from there, if it's interesting enough to you, it's going to be interesting enough for someone else. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And then for Valentine's Day, Ashley bought me a mic. It was the coolest thing ever, because Ashley's incredibly supportive of these ventures that I want to take, but it's not her passion, so she doesn't really voice it that much. And she wrote me this huge poem, and without getting super too far into it, it was the basically what it said was, even though I don't share the same passion that you share, And even though it may seem like I'm not always listening to you when you're talking about it because I ramble about it. She's like, this is me showing you that I support your dreams and that I want you to pursue it. And I got like all teary-eyed. We were at a restaurant when I opened up the gift, and I was like, "Oh crap! Like I'm getting Colton right now." And I was like, "Oh dude, this is crazy." What's funny is I'm not even using the mic because I don't have the plugins for it. I need to go.
Oh, her gift was the mic.
Was a mic. It was a mic and a stand, and yeah. So that those were all a few kicks in the butt. He had a podcast with Neil deGrasse Tyson that where they were talking about just getting up and doing it. Like if you just move and do it,
right.
And I do that anyway with most of the stuff. Like I say I'm going to do something and I just follow through with it. But the podcast was one of those things that I had just put it off. I was like, like whatever. I don't know the right people or whatever the case was. And then I just started doing this stupid research on everything. And I just was like, now I know way more about audio engineering than I think I could ever know. And then there's still more that I have to learn to be able to do this successfully.
Yeah, that's very cool. Similarly, about, 8 years ago, I was not necessarily happy with my lot in life, my job, my career, or whatever. It just felt stagnant, right? And so I decided to, you know what? I can't control some things about my job or about where I'm at, but I can control others. And so I started taking architecture classes and tried to get my master's in architecture. I started working out and eating right. Just started, doing other things that I felt were productive with my time. Just, basically, did a lot of things. So I didn't get my master's in architecture, but that kind of spurred just a, bettering myself type thing. I lost like 40 pounds.
What?
Yeah.
Where'd it go, dude? You've as long as I've known you, you've been looked pretty well fit at least.
Well, how long ago did we meet? How long ago was that?
7 years ago?
Yeah, so probably about when I had lost it. I lost it about a year, so maybe
okay.
a year or two. But yeah, so my wife called it my early life crisis because I just just changed a bunch of things about how I was living, and it's kind of a similar situation. So would you say that's kind of your early life crisis?
Yeah, I was literally when you were in the middle of it. I'm like, that's like what I was going through. Right. That exact same thing where I was like, I guess I'm happy, but I'm not happy with myself was what it was. It wasn't that I wasn't happy with the other things around me. I just wasn't happy with myself. And I'm still working on that. I'm working on Ashley and I are going to be in Hawaii in July, so I need to stop drinking coffees with sugars in them and start working out. But that's the next step. I needed to get the...
Well, you started going to jiu-jitsu and doing that.
Yeah. So I'd done judo and jiu-jitsu growing up. And then, it was like I restarted. I was re-gauged into it because I hadn't done it for like 4 years up until last year. And I started doing jiu-jitsu again. I don't do judo anymore, though, but everyone at my gym knows me as a judo guy because I throw people. Then you get to the ground, I get submitted.
You don't do judo. You don't do judo. It's hard to say.
Judo and jiu-jitsu are two different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying
They're almost the same.
I was trying to make a judo no me, man.
You don't know me. You don't know if I got a knife. You don't know if I got a gun.
Right.
Oh, that's funny. I just gotta. So, obviously, you made fun of me already. That I would. There's like a running joke in the people who are helping me produce this and put this together that I would in every single podcast I'll bring up jiu-jitsu. So I've done it twice now. He called me out on the first one, and Carly from the other room just texted me and said, "Stop talking about jiu-jitsu." It's my favorite sport. It's my favorite thing to do. Okay, I'm going to talk about jiu-jitsu in every podcast. We joked about having a board in here, especially when we start recording, like when we have the cameras in here. Once we soundproof this all, and I don't have to have this makeshift stuff, we'll start recording. So when we do, we're going to have a board that says, it'll say blank days since last accident, instead, like one of those at the workplaces, but instead it'll say blank days since Ikaika brought up jiu-jitsu. It'll probably always say 0.
Yeah, it's
It'll probably
gonna
always
be
say
a
0 because I don't know that I'll ever not talk about it
Right.
at some capacity. It's my favorite sport. Have you ever watched it?
No, I don't think so.
Dude,
I've watched MMA.
It's like intense. No, like just jujitsu.
Right, I know. But I've
It's
watched
like
MMA with people using jiu-jitsu, but never
Yeah.
watched just jiu-jitsu.
That's that. You know the thing, because I love MMA, so I watch pretty much every UFC event. I only have an ESPN Plus account because they bought out the NFL's contract from our NFL's the UFC's contract from Fox, and so now it's all on ESPN Plus. I only have that account to watch the fights because they put on fights every week. So I love it. The thing is like casual fans will not become fans of jiu-jitsu based on UFC because in everyone's head the two are ubiquitous. They're like UFC and jiu-jitsu go hand in hand, but they're not because jiu-jitsu is like a pretty gentle art. But you don't think of it that way. No one does. Everyone thinks of it as this savage sport because guys who do jiu-jitsu, or rather guys who fight in MMA, all know how to do jiu-jitsu at some capacity. Even if they consider themselves a sambo fighter or a judo fighter or a wrestler, you can't do MMA without knowing jiu-jitsu, at the very least to be able to stop jiu-jitsu because it's so prominent. When you go to the ground, they're trying to submit you with jiu-jitsu submissions 9 times out of 10. So no matter what kind of fighter you have to know it. So it becomes ubiquitous and everyone thinks of jiu-jitsu and MMA as the same thing, or that they're so closely similar. But if you watch just a jiu-jitsu match, it's like a gentle art, and it's so, like most of the guys who do it are like these highly intellectual people because you have to be really creative and you have to be very intelligent to know where to be at what times and where to have what. At
the risk of continuing down the jiu-jitsu path, who in like UFC is the preeminent jiu-jitsu?
I won't go too far. I won't go down that.
I'm gonna throw this out there. I guess. Would you say that Anderson Silva?
Not even kind of, sir. You're like way far. You're like down.
I
the
thought
road.
he was.
No, Anderson Silva is one of the greatest fighters to ever step foot into any octagon cage ring. That dude's a savage, and in his prime, I don't know who beats that guy, but he is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but he is not one of the prominent jiu-jitsu fighters. I guess there's 3 that are probably highly considered like the best. The first would be Damian Maia, and I think Damian Maia is probably across the board anyone who watches MMA would go Damian Maia. He's like a world-class strangler. If he gets his arms around your neck, you're done. Mm-hmm. It's just it is what it is. The second one would probably be Brian Ortega, who just fought Max Holloway and lost to Max Holloway, but that's because Max Holloway wouldn't let him get to the ground. He just beat him up standing up. And actually, it was a ref call for the TKO because Brian was not giving up. He was like, "Nope, I'm gonna keep charging forward, sir," and he just kept getting cracked in the face.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Continue.
And then the third is, and he's only fought once in the UFC. He just had his debut, would be Cron Gracie, but that's
one of the Gracie family. There's like 15,000 of them, right?
There's a lot of them. What's funny is I really don't want to go down the rabbit hole.
Don't do it.
So I'm gonna do one short thing. He is the first Gracie to win inside of the UFC since 1996. If when I say that statistic to people, they're like, "There's no way," because the Gracie family name is so popular. Like, you don't have to know MMA, and if you say Gracie, if you say Hoist Gracie, or you say any of the Gracies, like if I said Rickson Gracie, you would have no idea who I'm talking about. Now, Rickson Gracie is like widely considered the greatest Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner of all time, better than Hoist. But everyone knows who Hoist Gracie is because he won the first Ultimate Fighter. So everybody knows who he is because he was tapping out people who were twice his size. He's 160 pounds, 155 pounds at the time, and he's choking out Dan Severn, who's like 250 pounds. And, it's one of those things where he's super famous. Rickson didn't, unless you were in the community. Like, if you know the community, like myself, who I'm like Rickson Grayson and Hadra Gracie and all these. There's so many Gracies that are like above Hoist when it comes to like actual skill level, and I might get lambasted for that comment, but because people are so team Hoist. But it's like, he'd even say it in his interviews. He'd be getting interviewed. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna go home right now. My brother Rickson, he's gonna tap me 10 times. That's what he would say. And like people didn't know who Hickson was, and he mentioned him in comments how his brother would beat him every time. But Hickson's a savage individual. I love that guy. I'm gonna stay off that rabbit hole because I'll go down it. I'll go far. We'll end up in Underland.
Let's cycle back to name of the podcast.
I know the actual reason why you're here.
So,
yeah, because I don't know how much time you have.
Do you think that your name, IKA,
Yeah.
that people seeing that will be able to know what that is?
Only
Like,
if you're
pronounce it.
Hawaiian.
How do you think people? How would you pronounce that?
That's Ika
Pablo.
Ika.
Ika.
Ika. Yeah, you might. I think people wonder: is that a name? Is that something else? What is that?
You think it'd be too confusing, or you think it would bring intrigue?
Possibly. What if you shortened it just to I, and you use that as in the name somehow, just like and kind of play off of like I, me, type deal.
Yeah.
Like you could like back to our randomness.
I'm not married to the idea that Ikaika's in the title.
What about the randomness thing, like random acts of I?
Yeah. The only reason why I was keeping my name in there was because you have to have an original name for your RSS to get it onto iTunes. And if there's already a randomness of I, and there may be, there's so many podcasts out there, then I'll have to change it anyway.
Right.
Randomness down the rabbit hole.
Down the rabbit hole.
I'm sure there's a down the rabbit hole.
Down the rabbit hole.
already.
I'm sure that's a Alice in Wonderland podcast. Down the rabbit hole.
Look it up. Come on, producer. Let's do
Oh, yeah,
this.
that's right.
I mean, you could think of this. It could be down the rabbit hole with Ikaika.
But randomness of I, that plays on randomness of like me, randomness of your name.
Random rabbit holes? That's weird.
Yeah.
That made it to a really awkward place. I don't know how. It just randomly got there.
So do you feel like your format, obviously it's going to change, it's going to morph.
Yeah.
Everything is going to be a free-flowing conversation about
Like
a wide
this.
variety of topics? Or do you think that you'll have certain podcasts where we're going to mainly talk about this, which has come up in the news or come up in my life or come up, and have someone.
It'll always be guest formatted,
Mhm.
and whoever's sitting in front of me will probably dictate where the conversations go. I don't know if you noticed, but with the exception of the jiu-jitsu thing, I pretty much let the conversations that we had go wherever they went. And I'm going to have Oleg Moskov on.
Oh, I could have directed these.
You could have directed everything.
I should have known I had that power.
You did without even knowing it. Everything went where it went because of what you were saying.
Yeah.
Actually, I said very little, and he may have said more than I did.
Yeah, Pablo talked a lot.
Pablo talked a lot for a producer.
Yep.
We're
So I found
he's
a
actually
million.
been good. He's actually been good the last 20.
I found a million down the rabbit holes
I told
on
you.
podcasts.
Yeah, but they all have different.
Down the rabbit hole. Let's see. There's 2 down the rabbit holes
That are
a
right-
deeper down the rabbit hole, and this is all straight from iTunes podcast.
Yeah.
How about random acts of something?
Yeah, just look up randomness. I think randomness with Ikaika could work. It's super to the point.
What about randomness of I?
The randomness of I.
No, just randomness.
Randomness of I. Is that weird? I feel like it's weird.
See, we got
I don't know if it rolled
ransom
off.
randomness.
It went a little weird, I think.
I think it's a little weird.
Randomness of I.
So I'm seeing like a couple here with just randomness. I just searched randomness, and I'm seeing like 2 or 3.
Into the mic though.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to,
The producers.
Producer, can you please speak into the mic?
absolutely not.
Dungeons and randomness. I think that's a play on Dungeons and Dragons.
Not as many as down the rabbit hole.
Oh,
There's
dude,
so
I
many
think
down the rabbit
randomness
hole.
has to be in there now because there's like nothing with randomness in it. There's like 4 podcasts with randomness in the title.
But Joe, I think Todd brought up a good point. When you see the word Ikaika, are you going to know it's a name?
If it says with Ikaika, I'm sure that.
Yeah, with Ikaika maybe, yeah. Or what else could it be if you say with? Like an ingredient?
Yeah.
Randomness with this ingredient, Ikaika. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it would be. I don't know. I'm not married to the idea of having my name in it. I'm just trying to make sure that it can be easily searched. And when you hit randomness, it doesn't bring up 10,000 randomnesses.
Rants and randomness. That's what's on here.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I kind of like that name. There's another one. A friend of mine who I work with, he has a buddy down in San Diego who has a podcast, and the podcast name is what was it? What was
Who's the person at work? Is it Nick?
No. It was Cameron.
Cameron?
Yeah, Cameron. It was. Oh man, I can't remember the name. It was awesome though. I love the name. It was like, it was Uneducated Opinions. I'm like, I can't use that because I'm gonna have guests on. It's just these two guys who are talking, so you can name it that. But I couldn't name it something like that where it could potentially.
That would be the perfect name if I was running a podcast.
For sure. But like, I'm gonna be having guests on, and I can't have them feeling like,
You're calling them uneducated?
Yeah. But I thought it was hilarious. So I was like, that's really clever. I like that. I like that name.
That was good.
Yeah, I'm good with whatever, man. It needs to roll off the tongue, and it just needs to be the podcast name.
Yeah.
When we name it though, because this is getting uploaded. This is going to be on iTunes.
What's do you want any Hawaiian aspects about it?
I don't know, because you know what? It'll be too hard to search for, or people won't know to just search for it. Like if you put randomness in the life and culture section or category or whatever, you put randomness in there. Randomness with Ikaika may just show up, but
life on the mainland, or
I mean
misplaced Ohana or something like that.
Randomness on the mainland.
Randomness on the mainland. The mainland, I kind of like that, because then it does infer that I'm Hawaiian, which I am. My last name is Ho'ohuli.
Right.
You go figure.
And your first name's Ikaika.
Oh, my middle name's Kapono, just so everyone knows my entire name.
Well, I was last in Hawaii last summer, and one thing I learned that kind of was like, oh, that makes sense, is because a lot of the words are very similar, right?
Yeah.
And I learned that there's only how many letters in the Hawaiian alphabet?
Oh, dude, you just put me on the spot. I think there's 13. I could be wrong though.
They only use like
13 letters.
Yeah, and the vowels, obviously vowels, but yeah, it's like an
all of them are vowels.
NLH
Yeah.
K, like there's, and then just a few more, and so
it's actually really easy to break down the words.
There's 12 letters in the Hawaiian alphabet.
I said 13. I'm Hawaiian and I didn't get that one right. And actually, when you go to high school in Hawaii, you have to take a class called Modern Hawaiian History, and you learn that crap, and I still got it wrong. Well, I passed that class, by the way, probably with an A if I had to guess.
You're right. There is very set rules as far as like when you read a Hawaiian word, you have to say it a certain way, because in two vowels you split it, or whatever the case is.
Yeah,
right?
It means and all of it means one thing. It's not like the English language where like it's different, or in Chinese languages where like your tone and inflection will change what it means. Not in Hawaiian. It's like this means that.
Yeah, English is the worst language to learn for anybody.
I feel like Chinese is.
Well, I guess that's true.
You could say the same exact sound in a different inflection, and it means two completely different things. Right. It's so hard. I've tried. I was like looking at Cantonese. I'm like, nope, 0% chance I'm going to learn that. I was trying to bring some culture to my family, and I did not do it. I can say "traeme un café" in Spanish. That's about it. That means "get me coffee, please." Yeah. Actually, I didn't even say "please." It was just "get me coffee."
Yeah, give me coffee.
Yeah, that's how I say it to this guy. Like "traeme un café," and he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go do that."
Well, I just hear cafe.
He is Pablo.
He should understand.
Pablo
right?
understands.
I just hear cafe, and I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, he knows.
Because typically I want it at that point too, and that
but I've been off coffee though. Like I got this today because he bought it, but I've been off of it. I've been drinking this Advocare. By the way, this episode of the podcast is brought to you by Advocare. Advocare products. No, I'm just kidding. That's the supplements that I do take though. I take that unless Joe Rogan wants to sponsor me, because he owns On It, which is another supplement company that does like Alpha Brain and stuff. So if this ever does make it all the way over to Los Angeles and Joe Rogan hears it, I'm looking for sponsors. So pay me.
You're gonna have to get a few more subscribers. I'm
sure. Just a couple. I think that he's like, dude, if you don't have 1 million subscribers, bro, like don't even. you're cute, but
Does he have a podcast or podcast network?
no, he has a podcast.
No, but like so
No,
doesn't
he doesn't
have-
have a network.
He doesn't have a stable of other podcasts. that
No, he does not. He has one, but he's got like a group of buddies, and they all do each other's podcasts.
Right.
So
That's how it is in podcast world. Everybody does each other's podcast.
yeah, that's how you kind of build a client base. I don't know anyone else in the area who does. Otherwise, that's my next stay. My next step is to find someone else and do each other's podcasts. I'm really hoping that having Oleg on really helps because he's like a local celebrity. I mean, he's a former world champion boxer, so that's got to be worth a couple subscribers.
A lot of Russians,
Yeah, probably.
right? Because he's big over there.
I don't care. I don't care what they are.
I'm saying you can
I have you on, so now I've got the Texas vote.
understand how many.
Oh,
years
dude,
since I lived in Texas.
this is the one that we should have recorded. Is like,
What do you mean?
because you're an all-American boy. You're a good-looking dude, man. Just get subscribers surely off of that. Blue eyes.
Unfortunately, it's an audio format, not a visual.
No, but I'm going to record and I'll be on YouTube as well. So I'm going to be doing both. So YouTube, watch out. Yeah, I already the wall back there. I told Ashley, I said we're gonna do some decorating. I'm gonna keep the walls like that. I'm just gonna hang not little kid stuff up. I've got like because of Winn Dixie, the Wonder Book can stay, but Story of Thieves, come on, man, get out of here. That's Caden's. So that's actually the kids' that's where they do their homework. So I mean, I told Ashley, I said, if I ever make it, I'm taking the podcast to a different location, so I'm not sharing it with my kids.
Yeah, I think that you giving them back their playroom is probably a good idea if you have the ability.
They have
to.
another playroom. They have another playroom upstairs, but this is more their study, like where they're supposed to be doing their homework. So right now, Carly,
Didn't
who
you
was
have a big
homeschooled,
TV in here?
we had a giant TV in here, and
Yeah.
then we moved it so that it would become the kids' homework room, and then we moved that. We're creating a theater now.
Cool.
So, and then we took the big TV that was in there, and we brought the 46-inch downstairs, and Ashley and I have the giant TV in our room for no reason, too. It's just too massive. There's no point in having it. But we're like, no, the kids could deal with a 46-inch because we don't watch TV down here very often, like almost ever. We watch down here very rarely. We eat dinner right here. It's funny. Here's the thing is, Ashley works for a church. So even though she's supposed to be technically quote unquote 40 hours, she's a gazillion hours. I don't know if that's the correct number. It might be a little low, but she works, way too much. And I don't want to say unfortunate thing because it's all for a good reason, but the thing is even though I don't work for the church, when you have a spouse who does, you pretty much work for the church.
Mm-hmm.
So most of our time is spent at the church or the community center, or I'm at work. So we don't spend a lot of time at the house anyway. So that's the reason why we get home. It's like 9:00 at night already. We're not going to spend any time in there. We're going to just go straight to our room. And we're like, if we're watching TV mostly in our room, we may as well have the better TV with 4K. Versus that 46-inch TV that we have, by the way, I think we got that in like 2010, man. I think that thing's been 9 years running strong. I don't even know if it's 1080p. I think it is. But whatever. The kids can watch on whatever we give them.
I mean, can you really tell the difference unless you're really paying attention between like the old 1080p and the new like double that
4K or whatever.
4K.
I think so. I don't have fantastic eyes for that, and I also don't have fantastic ears. Like when I was doing the sound for this, I'm like, I think it sounds good, but I don't know. I only know if it sounds echoey or not. And it's the same thing with my eyes. I don't think my eyes are good enough to know the difference. Like I watch something and I'm like, they're like, yeah, the whatever they use their words for what's supposed to look better, and I'm like, sure, looks the same to me, dude.
Name break. How about I Be Random?
I Be Random. I don't like it.
Okay.
Sorry,
please continue.
I think that was a good shot at it. I love the name break. Name break.
You have to throw a bunch of stuff against the wall.
Oh yeah, no. That's the reason why the first hour should have been us throwing stuff against the wall, but instead that's not what we did. We probably only have 15 minutes too because I have a haircut at 2.
So back to the quality of the TV real quick. Have you played Red Dead on both of those TVs?
I have, and actually, that is where I see the big difference, dude. Red Dead on the 4K is legit.
I play Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and it just blows me away. Like, I'm on
How
top,
stunning
on top of a mountain, overlooking all the Greek Isles, and it's just like, wow.
You're not on Red Dead right now, huh? Oh, you're on Xbox anyway, man.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to let you borrow one of my PS4s. Yes, I did say one of, but that's only because I have a son, not because I'm a baller.
Yeah, I have 2 Xbox Ones.
There you go. Yeah.
I have 2.
Well, he hasn't had his video games for a while.
Yeah, I have one for my boys because I was tired of sharing. So
yeah, that's literally what happened in my house. I was like, I don't want to share with you, and I'm gonna have to let you borrow one of them so that we can play Red Dead together.
Was that the one that you wanted to give me for Christmas so we could play Red Dead together?
I was legitimately gonna give him it because Caden got it taken away from him, and he has a Switch anyway.
What is Does he play it with you when he does?
I can't hear you right now.
Does he play with you when he does does play?
Oh, he like Fortnite. If we play, he doesn't play Red Dead.
No,
no.
Right. But does he play with you other games like Fortnite? I guess you'll play together.
Yeah, we play Fortnite together.
So you're in different parts of the house. Like
We did. What was the other game that we did together? We do a few games together. But there's like games where he's not allowed to play. He's for sure never going to play Red Dead. He and I actually made a deal. I bought him the season, 7 or whatever season they're in now, season 8 in Fortnite. I bought him the newest season, and in return, he would stop asking me to be able to play Red Dead. Because I made the mistake of letting him ride the horse around. And it looks it's so stunning. He didn't even do anything. Like, he didn't go on a single mission, but he just rode the horse, and he was like, I want to play. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
I can't let you play it. It's a little
I did
too
the same thing
vicious.
for the first Red Dead. You didn't play the first Red Dead.
I never played it.
But Red Dead Redemption #1, I would let my kids ride around and do the horse and stuff. And so, yeah, they always wanted to play
bug you on wanting to play it.
Sorry, nope. And then,
So we made that deal. He's never brought it up ever
that's
since.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tried. He did bug me about Red Dead 2 because he saw like on YouTube or a commercial
Dude,
or
it's
whatever.
so good.
And he's
The
like,
game is so good.
Can I get that for Christmas? I'm like, no, absolutely not.
That game is awesome. I guess we push the boundaries a little bit on what we allow our kids to play, because at the end of the day, like, we kind of make sure that they're not.
Yeah, I mean, Fortnite, you're killing people, but at least it's cartoony.
Yeah. Well, what's funny
No
is, and I think maybe on 2 occasions we've let them play Call of Duty. But, like, legitimately 2 occasions. I think that was, like, us pushing the boundaries, and we went, it's a little too far. But
It's
that was probably
realistic.
where it was a little too realistic, and we drew the line there.
Mm-hmm.
But Caden was actually pretty good. I was like, oh, got a little gamer on our hands.
The sad thing about video games is when I like video games. I've played video games all my adolescence and
I'm
so,
sorry. Hold on. Give me a sec. I'll be right back.
And I think
You
that the thing about video games nowadays is you're so removed, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're by yourself. You can talk to people. You can, chat with someone through your speakers or, your headset or whatever, but you're not with people. Whereas when I played video games, I was playing Madden or college football or basketball with someone sitting next to me, right? Blitz,
You had the 4-screen Halo.
Right, 4-screen Halo, right? In college and 4-screen Halo, you're have that camaraderie, or you're bashing on each other. You stink, you're horrible. I got you. Or take that, or whatever the case is, and you lose that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kids don't have that nowadays. They do it but because now it's so you're not together. There's not that sense of camaraderie, and now it also because you don't have to look that person in the eye. It might be a little more angry, or you're yelling at them and putting them down even more so. And I don't know, it's different nowadays with not being able to sit next to somebody and play a video game.
Well, I was reading this thing online. It was about how 90s kids, they seem to be the most depressed era in the
Kids
depressed
born
generation.
in the 90s?
Well,
Or
I classify 90s kids as, anywhere from 87 to 94. So you still have that little bit in the 90s that you remember, right? But it's the evolution of technology, right? I never played video games online, right? When I played, it was Grand Theft Auto, or it was Halo, and it was story mode, or I was playing, competition
play
between right next to
LAN
you.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that, though. I miss the LAN stuff.
Yeah, I miss being with people, or even like we do LAN tournaments in Halo. But at least they're down the next room over, and you're yelling at them, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Or even doing it in the same room.
right.
We did that.
And it was great. It was fun. But now it's like
Ultimate screen peeker over here. Ultimate screen peeker.
well, that's a skill. If you
It is a skill to like.
you cannot effectively regulate it. So why not just have everybody do it?
Yeah, I think it was like an elitist thing.
An elitist thing?
An elitist thing.
Why elitist?
To not look. To be like, you were screen peeking and I still killed you 1v1 and I still 1v1
I see
you.
what you're saying, but
Because and so you would always call someone out for a screen peek and be like, I didn't screen peek, instead of being like, well, your screen's right there, so I looked and I killed you, so now what? Instead of that, it was like, no, I didn't screen peek. Like, that was a thing.
yeah.
I remember that.
I was just always like, hey, everybody screen peek. Keep an eye on your screen and everybody.
Everybody screen peek.
That's a skill,
I
like
screen
trying
peeked,
to
and
like
I was
look at
a
everybody's.
high-level player.
You know, that if you can do that and see everybody's and know everybody else's and know where you are, and you know, then more.
I played on a traveling like team. I
for Halo.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, we made it pretty far too. Like, won tournaments in San Francisco and stuff like that. Like,
That's awesome.
but it was back when you couldn't make, like, now you can make millions of dollars doing this. For us, it wasn't. It wasn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't do it that way.
Esports has their own tab on ESPN.
I think that's funny. I think it's funny because before MLG was MLG is when I was playing. The organization that became MLG is what we did, which was the E-game, which was the E-games. That's what it was. E-games turned into MLG.
It's a whole new world.
Whole new world.
Brave new world.
Dude, there's parents who get their kids Fortnite tutors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there's a lot of money to be made. There's so much money to be made. Twitch users make like all kinds of money for doing. They play video games all day long.
Or in some games people will level up and sell it to
Sell
other people.
accounts. I've done that.
so
I've
that-
actually done that.
So that,
World of Warcraft.
so that someone doesn't have to work at like through getting all.
But
the
now
levels.
you can just buy the levels. But way back in the day, me and a couple of buddies of mine, we'd level up characters and you'd sell them on eBay. Like, legitimately, you can go on eBay and you just make it whatever email account you create the character with is just an ambiguous, random email.
Right. And I guess they get that and get the login and off they go.
Yeah, and then they can just change the password after, and it's a max level character, and you didn't have to work at it. And then, and I didn't play a lot of World of Warcraft. Like, I just didn't play it, but I did do it so that I can sell characters. And then they came out with this expansion, Lich King, and you can start a character at 55, and then it was like,
What's the point?
there goes that battle. And then now you can just buy max level characters. They're like, whatever.
Instant gratification.
But it takes away the whole fun of the game. Right? I mean, when I'm playing Skyrim, which I kind of compare Skyrim with World of Warcraft a little bit, I want to start at zero. I want to build myself up.
That's because you're a 90s kid.
Well, that's because there's a story there line that you're going.
There's
through.
a different-
Whereas World of Warcraft. There's no storyline, right?
Oh, there's a huge storyline.
I thought there was like
Oh, no. It's
a
open world, and it's
open
become
world
that
and
way
you
now.
just talk to each other and interact.
No, it's become that way now, but there's an entire story behind it. World of Warcraft, there's a bunch of Warcraft games.
Well, yeah, the Warcraft games. But I'm saying World of Warcraft. Like
it's the same thing. It's the same storyline.
I didn't know that
It's
you had,
built in
like-
the same world, and all these storylines are happening at the same time.
but you're taking part in them.
Yeah, you take part in them. There's events that are taking part at the same time. The thing is I never got into it for that long. I got into it. I played it for like 2 years, but I never really got into it. It was not my forte. It wasn't like my cup of tea. I didn't want to do it, but I did it for money because I was a college student at the time. And
Leroy Jenkins.
yeah,
Didn't you know someone like associated with that raid or something?
the not the Leroy Jenkins thing. No. The WoW funeral. So there's this. This is so long ago too. There was this guy and his girlfriend passed away in real life. She died in a car accident, and they were posting on the WoW forums that they were going to be having this giant funeral for her in the game for people who knew her, or even people who didn't, right? Because they were pretty well known in that server. Well, they're on a PvP server. PvP server means that any character who sees another character can fight that character and kill them. So anyways, all these people show up to pay their respects, in-game respects to this person who died in real life, right? It's a sad story that she died in real life. But there were people who were like, yeah, we're gonna go troll this funeral, and so 3 different raids, and one of the what are they called? Why am I blanking on this word?
The bad guys,
Yeah,
quote unquote bad guys.
no, but not what's the word I'm looking for? Like their faction. What are they called?
Works.
Not faction. No, not faction. Sorry.
Classification.
No. The group of people who come together and they make a team. What is it called?
Band.
No.
Group. I don't know.
I can't remember. I'm like literally blanking on this word.
Is there a specific like for World of Warcraft word that they use?
Well, if you just gave me anyone that happened in any game ever, then I could tell you.
Faction's a good one.
No,
Stable.
But the bad guys came.
Anyways, so there's 3 different group of guys and gals. They were like, hey, let's go raid this funeral. So they went and raided the funeral. And one of the groups, I happen to know some of the guys in real life. So
And so what did they do? They just killed everybody?
they killed everybody at the funeral.
What did the people do once they're being attacked? They just ran
It was
away?
it was like back and forth on. This is when forums were a big thing. Like forums are still a big thing, but now social media is so easy to go back and forth. Back then, you had to go to like a forum and talk crap to people, and that's what they did. They just went back and forth online, like you're a piece of crap and blah blah blah, using obviously different words. And when it was happening, you just see the chat. The chat is just going off like you guys are sons of blah 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 blah. I just go. Because they go in there, and the thing is everyone's wearing robes, and the robes are all cloth material, so the cloth material don't give you boost to your
Armor.
Right.
And they're all coming in raid gear. So they show up and they just and it was
Ponage is what it was.
I'm sorry, dude, it was funny.
I'm sure that
I don't care who you are, it was funny.
I'm sure that the forums were ablaze that evening with people just so angry,
Yeah.
right? So mad.
We did not get accomplished what I thought we were going to get accomplished. And I have a haircut in
I think it's
20 minutes.
because you're too random.
I know. I think you and I will end up doing this off podcast. We'll end up coming up with the name. Just keep sending me stuff, and we'll keep bouncing it around.
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun, though.
It was good.
Yeah. It was good. It was really good. I'm posting.
We got a nickname for Pablo.
Pablo.
Here.
I love it.
We got something accomplished.
Yeah.
Can I at least be producer Pablo?
No,
it's Pablo.
Okay.
Producer Thomas.
I just want to.
Producer Thomas.
Petey
Pablo.
Pablo.
Really, really long walk for a small drink of water.
Yeah.
I like it. You're Pablo now.
All right, fantastic.
You should not
I
have-
gave myself my own nickname.
You should not. Yeah, that's funny too. But you should not have shown your disdain for that name.
Yep.
All right.
That's what happened.
I'll grow into it. I'll just be like, all right, it's second nature now.
It's done. You're gonna have to get used to it because that's your nickname is Pablo. They're gonna be like, I thought his name was Thomas. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake of telling them I don't like the nickname Pablo
That's
that
right.
I came up with.
I love it. That's my favorite thing about this podcast now is Pablo.
You need drops. You need drops for
Yeah.
every time you say, Pablo. You have
Pablo.
a drop. Every time you say
Jiu-jitsu.
a new drop.
There's gonna be a drop.
Yeah, you need drops.
Oh no, I know. I want to buy the pad. I just,
I'm sure we could get something like an iPad. Like a thing.
I bet. Yeah, there's probably something that we could plug right into this.
Mhm.
Like there's aux plugins all over the place. We can probably find
On your phone, probably.
and just get it on the phone, and we'll just do the drops from there, and I don't have to go spend an exorbitant of money on it.
Yeah.
It's gonna have
That's
to be
fine.
your phone. I've decided I am no longer gonna Google on the computer because it's too loud and I hate the clicking in my ears. So I'm gonna Google from my phone.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, at some point it'll be on a TV screen, like behind or here, because I want to be able to project whatever's on there. I would have put the rate up for you to see because it was hilarious. I would have put the rate up for you to see if I had the TV, but I did not. I was not as prepared for this podcast as for the next time you come on.
Okay.
And by the way, we were supposed to do this with Darren. I totally forgot, and he doesn't get off of work until 2. Now I
Yep.
feel bad.
Yeah.
A little bit
When
bad.
you mentioned doing it earlier, I thought, oh, well, I guess you told Darren, but no, never mind.
I didn't. I forgot that Darren was coming on. I thought it was just I for whatever reason I forgot, and now I feel kind of bad. Tomorrow I'm having Steven Swink and Matt Porter on. That one will probably be less random because I think that one we're talking about life and ministry and stuff.
They can talk.
I can only imagine that we will go down some rabbit holes that have nothing to do with life and ministry, though.
Probably. Oh, absolutely. I'm sure.
I mean, we went on 7 different tangents.
But you're gonna have to break in to Matt. Because he'll just talk.
Oh, dude, Matt is like, he doesn't know how not to preach.
Yeah.
And I love that about him. But that dude, when he gets on, you can tell when he gets into fiery preacher mode because you're like, uh-oh, he just turned it on.
Yeah.
When do you step in?
Yeah.
That's the funniest thing ever. I love it.
That's why when I said it initially, you have to have a safe word.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
Stop. Wait.
Yeah.
Good.
Hold on.
Name
and
stop.
Name stop. Well, and then
Name break.
Name break.
And then Steven Swink. He's on the board. You know Steven, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We're pretty close with Steven and Lindsay. Lindsay and Ashley are supposed to be going to some country music thing next month. I don't know. I don't like.
You love country music, I know.
I don't listen to any country music.
Yeah.
Almost any.
Actually, 2 of his presets in his Jeep are country stations.
That is true. And you want to know how many presets I listen to in my car?
1.
None of them. No, I don't even listen to Caleb. That's not true. I do listen to Caleb when the kids are in the car, but normally I listen off of Pandora because I pay for Pandora.
Yeah, I agree.
Which I am now part of, and I thank you so much for
Yeah, no, I added him on my family plan.
I only listen to radio when my kids are in the car. Cause
Yeah, that's the
I
only
listen to podcasts or something.
I literally listen to audiobooks and podcasts
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, or I listen to Pandora music.
For sure, yeah.
So, anyways, man, thanks for coming. I know that you were technically working, so I appreciate that.
Technically, yes.
This has to be the best hour and 41 minutes of work, though.
I think
the worst podcast is better than the best day of work, right?
Yeah, this was a lot of fun for me. So this
Like,
is kind of the whole
That's
point.
the whole fishing thing, right? The worst day fishing is better than
Oh, yeah.
I think that
best day.
there's a comedian that has a joke about that, and he's like, I've never. I think it was Daniel Tosh. Yeah, it's Daniel Tosh. He said, "Have you ever watched those crab fishing shows?" He's like, "I've never watched them capsize in Alaskan waters, and they're floating, and they look at each other and go, at least we're effing fishing." It's like, nope, 0% chance. I'd rather be.
Okay, yeah, the worst day fishing could be worse than the best day work. I agree.
That's a pretty funny joke. Think about it. I wanted to give credit where credit was due. I'm glad I remembered who it was. So cool, man. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, we can stop it there. I think you have to hit the stop button.